hooked for a little ride.
Now you can share the topics that drive the discussions of your favorite talk shows with TalkStream Live's topic-driven talk radio.
We gotta talk. Let's take a drive.
List and promote real-time talk radio topics, or post the topics that you want to hear. Hot topics are tweeted and retweeted, and include simple click-to-listen audio links. The future of talk radio is topic-driven talk radio.
Now that's what I call real drive.
Available now at TalkStreamLive.com.
Welcome to the Opperman Report Aftershow. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman, and this Aftershow is brought to you by Audible.com. That's right, go to audibletrial.com, Opperman Report. You go there, you sign up for free, you get a free audio book, and it helps support the show. Now tonight on our Aftershow, we have with us Lee Lamb, who's the author of Oak Island Obsession, the Restall story, and also another book called Oak Island Family, the Restall Hunt for Buried Treasure. Now, Lee, let me ask you a question. If you were to recommend one of these books for people to buy first, which one would it be?
Well, I like Oak Island Obsession because it's a lot richer and has a lot more emotion in it, and it has a lot of the content was written by my mom or my dad or my brother. My mother had thought she was writing her own book, and so she had written some very nice pieces, which I've got in my book, and some of them are funny and it really gives you a different view. But anyway, I like that book myself. The reason I wrote the other one, it was written for teens and young adults because it's a little piece of Canadian history, Oak Island is, and it's not known by enough people. And I was trying to make it something like take them through all that dreadful numerical history, but take them painlessly through it. But and I tried to simplify the whole history and then just tell a bit about my parents. So but they have different purposes, totally different purposes.
You know, it would be great to have a movie, of your dad and your mom's life, because that's just an incredible story, the whole.
You know something, Ed? My mom was, first of all, I was a rebellious 14-year-old. I never did anything really naughty, but my mom had a tough time with me, and I with her, But we all adored Dad, so everything was fine. But my mom was luminous. She had that quality like Marlene Dietrich or some of those old movie stars. She was really, and she wasn't pretty, but she was really striking. And she had a very nice personality, and she enjoyed entertaining people. And so all of their lives together, no matter what they were doing when they were together, Mom played a real right up at the front part of the whole thing. She wasn't any stay-at-home mom, even though she stayed at home.
But it seems like after the accident, though, that your mom went to go live a much more quiet lifestyle than she did when she was with your dad.
Well, of course, yeah, but that's inescapable, and she was also getting older too. But for God's sake, my mother at 52 went to school. She'd never gone above public school. She went and got her secretarial certificate. And then she was a true office manager. And they had satellite offices for the medical practice. And she did the night school teaching. And she was, I don't know, a lot of people enjoyed her. She was interesting.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I bet they did. Yeah, forget it. That's some life, man.
Yeah, and at the very end when she was in the hospital, and she had cancer, and things were not going well. The Rolling Stone wanted to interview her.
Yeah.
And I told her about it, and I said to her, I passed on that I had said they'd have to wait for you to get out. They can't interview you here. Have to wait for you to get home. And of course, we were hoping she'd get home and getting lessons on how to manage it and all that. But she turned to me and said, just because I'm in hospital doesn't mean you can step up and take my place. And I said, well, I never have. And she said, Yeah, but well, I just thought now you might think things are different, but they're not.
You gotta love that, you know?
You bet.
Yeah. Oh my God. So we're joined by Mike Ray, who's from infinityhomeplans.com. He's one of our sponsors. Hey, so Mike, you got some good questions for us tonight?
Yeah. They always say when I watch that show on Oak Island. I've seen some documentaries on it before. How many fortunes have been lost going after that? I mean, because they even said John Wayne got involved.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean,
and a lot of celebrities. So, I mean, exactly how much fortune has been lost going after the supposed treasure that's down there?
Well, I'm sure that that it can't be counted. There's been everybody who's gone in has spent a lot of money and lost a lot of. I mean, they left. The only reason any of those people left is they ran out of money.
Right.
Wow. And we started to talk about the stone. You know, that stone with the inscription. And I said I didn't really much believe that story.
Yeah.
Well, that stone then was reportedly taken to Smith's house because one of the three kids, you know, he grew up and he bought the land that the money pit was on, and they took part in the dig. But that stone then went into some shop in Halifax and was put in it was a bookbinding business and it was put in a window. It's kind of an advertisement because they were raising money to do another one, you know. Now it was said that, getting back to the stone faded over time. You could hardly read the inscription. And that's what makes me think that it wasn't authentic because they chiseled things in stone then. They didn't paint them on or whatever. But anyway, in answer to your question, it goes on and on and on and on.
But Lee, It sounds like you're skeptical.
Skeptical of what? The only thing I'm concerned about. I always thought the only thing left to do. My dad had just done a careful, meticulous search, and there was it's still the water problem. It had not improved at all.
Yeah.
And there was nothing left to do except that somebody with an awful lot of money, somebody with millions, would have to be willing to spend it on hoping to get billions from Oak Island. And how likely was that to happen? Well, I think that the Lagina brothers are the closest we're going to come to that. And I just think, even that is not enough. You know,
why do they keep thinking like the Ark of the Covenant is down there and the all the lost treasure of Solomon's Temple or the?
Well, you know what I think? I mean that's more recent talk, not real recent, but I mean like 20 years recent. No,
they're recent for us.
Yeah, right. but I think that the price has gone up. As the investment has gone up, well, you got to have something even bigger. It isn't enough anymore just to get some gold and jewels.
And I mean, aren't they really destroying that whole little island? That area.
Well, after my dad died, there was a big scramble with the investors and everything. And we still had the contract to the end of the year, and it was August. And so Robert Dunfield stepped forward and said that he would like to run the operation and to the end of the contract. And he had he assured us that he was going to do it in the same way that my dad had. Just remind me what I'm talking about, because I could go 3 or 4 different ways. Right?
Environmental damage to the...
Oh, yeah, okay. So when, we had a meeting with the lawyer, and there were 5 or 6 of us in the room, different investors, and Dunfield, who wanted to go ahead. And I asked him pointedly, how are you going to go about the work? And he was silent for a minute. Then it dawned on what I meant, and he said, I'm going to do it exactly as your father was doing it. And I'm going to safeguard the island And that's all I cared about, because my dad had wanted the treasure to be discovered, but he wanted people to be able to come and look at this seventh wonder of the world, you know. And so Dunfield said he was going to carry it on in the same way, and he did start working. And of course, as soon as he was under our contract, but he wasn't to take direction from us, except he was to keep us informed, and he did send some memos, like same one to all the shareholders, but he didn't really tell us everything we needed to know. But anyway, the first thing he did was build a causeway, bring a big machine over, and move all the earth from around the money pit. I mean, he took away 20 feet of soil and then piled it somewhere else, so that beautiful end of the island is gone now. And it's also, like, there's no sign of anything, any of the markers or any of the famous things that would you can identify anything with.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Why isn't the government of Canada stepping in and saying, "Hey, look, you can dig, but you can't destroy the island in the process"?
Well, the island was owned by people. Like, and I forgot to say that after December came and our contract hypothetically went out, Chappell renewed it, but it still remained a Restall contract. That is, Dunfield never had it in his own name, but he still worked on the island and did what he wanted, and then he finished and he was gone. But the government of anybody can't tell people, hey, you go invest all the money you want in something, but you better not do this. Well, that's okay if it's something that's toxic or, going to bother a lot of people. But the government always could. There's been a lot of opportunities when the government could have stepped in. Chappell had it for sale when my dad was there for $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
But wait, Lee, you have some kind of stock ownership in this?
No. Stock ownership? Absolutely not. I'm not aware of any stock anyway.
And you were saying something like you were like a shareholder and part of these meetings or something?
Absolutely not.
Contract, you said.
What meetings would they be?
No, you were saying, you know what I'm talking about, Mike.
She said there was a contract or something that the guy who
bought it everybody who was on the island had a contract with whoever owned the island, and that person would always also have the rights to dig, which they had to get from the government. Okay, so there was an Oak Island, Act or something like that. Treasure Trove Act. That's what it was when my dad was there, and and Chappell owned the island, and he had to get the Treasure Trove Act, which gave the government 5%, and then Dad and Chappell had a contract between them that said we're splitting it 50-50, and like the government doesn't care. I mean, didn't at that time care, except that whenever anything happened, they wanted their piece.
Sure.
But they don't want to spend money. I mean, if it was your government, would you want them buying Oak Island and digging for treasure with your taxpayer money?
Well, it would probably make a great tourist attraction. They do stuff like that in different locations. I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll see that. Maybe that's what will happen next. Who knows? I mean, if the Lagina brothers decide that it's no longer worth their while to be involved with it, who knows what they'll do, because they do own the property. They shared ownership of the property, and they've got some choices.
So they've never found any silver coin or any gold coin, nothing, right? Who? Anyone who's ever searched.
The brothers.
Well, the Lagina brothers have found 2 coins, one last year and one this year, but I really don't. I've watched the 2 shows. That's how much I know. Like, same thing you know.
Right.
Now, but they're getting funded by the History Channel, right?
How would I know? I do not know anything. Did I tell you I knew anything?
Well, let me ask you this: when you were out there, there was no shortage of funds to, shuttle you around and feed you and clothe you while you're out there, stuff like that.
Well, that was all done by the production company,
right?
Prometheus. I mean, I wasn't invited by anyone but Prometheus, and the contract my brother and I had was to, as I said, I wanted to get our story out, so right. I provided them with an awful lot of stuff, and we had a contract around the usage of that stuff and what we were liable for, and what things they had that had nothing to do with us. We didn't have rights to those things, so if they used them, that was on them to get the things straightened out. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. But they never offered you any money to get the rest of these boxes of documents and stuff that you have?
Why would they? I mean, they're in the business to make a reality show.
Yeah, right. Okay, gotcha.
And I mean, in my heart of hearts, I would like to see somebody have those things that really appreciates them.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Museum? How about a museum on the island?
There is a museum on the island, and there's one in Chester as well.
Right.
And there are other museums too, but now you're talking about giving it away, right? And at first you were asking about me making money on it.
Right.
And so there used to be a television show, which was a reality show in Canada called Four Walls, where people brought strange things in, and four rooms, not four walls. That was that song by, Jim Reeves. You went to each of these different rooms, and the people in charge were associated with stores or their own method of dealing with material, exotic material. And it was an interesting show, and I liked it, and I sure could see going there and doing that. But that's the only venue, and it doesn't seem to be going on this year.
How far is Oak Island from the mainland? Like it's not that far, right?
It's close. Like feet. It's very a half a city block.
Oh.
I mean, they built a causeway, right? You drive over there now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. They don't show that on the TV show. Yeah.
They act like it's like it's a fair distance from
right.
land.
No, but it is a private island, so you can't drive over there unless you're going on a day when tours are being run or something like that.
Oh, so you can't just get on that causeway and just hop over?
Nope, you cannot.
Oh.
Is there a guard or a gate?
Yeah, who paid for the causeway?
Well, I mean, when Dunfield built the causeway so he could bring a big machine over and change the face of the island, he didn't get any permits or anything like that. He just did it, even though it interfered with the waterway for the fishermen and all that. But anyway, it stayed, and it's
Canada,
now,
anything goes.
Yeah, well, it's one of those situations where people do things without getting the permissions, and if they get away with it, it stays, and if they don't, it comes down.
Is that causeway safe? I mean...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No question.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so foreign to the way things are done here in the States. You could never get away with that. If you started that project, forget it, you'd be shut down like in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Or a week. Yeah.
Well, you probably would now, too. It's very different now. The Laguna brothers are having to get permissions for things that I think are pretty extreme. I think it's gone to the other extreme.
Wait, they probably see the money, though. They see the old the production and stuff like that, the TV show, and they're thinking, hey, let's get a piece.
Who's they? Which day are you talking about?
What, the government of Canada?
Oh, okay. Well,
No?
Yeah, well, we're still in the same situation. There is there's an Oak Island Act now that specifies who gets what, and there has been a move for someone down there tried to get a different kind of document passed through legislation where everything became artifacts, and the Lagina brothers wouldn't have much say on any of that. Who would bother investing their millions or whatever into a dig on the island if the government takes everything?
Yeah, to me, if I found anything, I would just shut up about it and just
Well, exactly.
Melt it down. Maybe they did find something and we're like, hey,
They found it, right?
Yeah. Well, see, as I said earlier, my dad was so secretive about everything. Nobody really knew what they had done while they were on the island. But now it's the opposite. The world knows, every week.
All right.
What did your dad think about who built it? Did he say, or did he ever?
Yeah, did your dad ever go into the history of the theories and stuff like that, the myths?
Well, when he was first doing it, and was when I remember the conversations when he was, maybe a year or two on the island, he mentioned to me that Port Royal had gone through a big earthquake or something. And it was a wild place with lots of pirates had taken their booty down there, and they had to find another place for it after that earthquake thing. And but it's possible that they pooled their resources and did a systematic job of moving it up here and putting it on the island. They were on the island. Whomever put whatever down, they were on the island long enough to wear a roadbed into the island, And so there were people there for a while and had a camp. There's signs that they're living on the island. But anyway, getting back to what Dad thought, he knew it wasn't Captain Kidd because, well, that's another thing. On the beach, down at more than 3 feet, he had found a stone that was carved with the date 1704, or so we thought. We knew he had it. We knew where it came from. It had been swung out by their dump bucket when they were digging, and was on a pile in the sea, like in the cove, so that the sea would wash away the dirt, and then the stone pile would be left there. But anyway, Mom happened to notice that the top stone seemed to have carvings in it, and they examined it, and they took it in and let it dry out, and then it became clear there was the year 1704 was on it. And I keep saying the year 1704 because we all thought it was the year. But this summer, somebody got in touch with me who had a theory about Sir Francis Bacon, and he had found a code that when he worked it all out, it gave him the measurements to go across the sea and end up in Oak Island, and at the spot where we said we found the stone, and he believed that the 1704 was footed or foots or rods or something, and that it would lead to Sir Francis Bacon's bones. He'd been dug up and reburied on Oak Island, of course, according to this man. But I haven't heard any more from him. And all I'm trying to say is that there's always new interpretations. A lot of people wanted it to be Kidd, but he had died in 3 years before. If it was a year stone, but if it's a foot stone, well, that's different.
Well, Lee, you must get some crazy emails and letters and phone calls, right?
I don't get a lot,
No?
but I get contacted every now and then from somebody, and some of it, I've had. That's one totally unexpected pleasure of writing that first book, was that I got letters from people who didn't know about Oak Island, didn't care about Oak Island, but they responded to the family story within it. And then they told me just the most tender little stories of their own lives. So anyway, everybody isn't crazy. Some of them are lovely people.
Okay.
And
we got to take a commercial break now. Take a little break. We'll be right back after this. We're with Lee Lamb. We got Mike Gray calling in. Lee Lamb is the author of Oak Island Obsession, The Restall Story, and another book called Oak Island Family, The Restall Hunt for Buried Treasure. And we'll be right back after this with the Opperman Report After Show.
If you're looking for essential oils, stop by and check out Essentially Tammy on Facebook. She is Young Living Essential Oils Independent Distributor. These 100% therapeutic grade oils help support the body's natural functions. You can click on her website posted on Essentially Tammy, that's T-A-M-I, to see the current deals and check out the benefits of oils such as frankincense, joy, valor, lemon, thieves, Panaway, and many more. Email Jocotami, that's Jocatami @yahoo.com, or call 352-239-8546. That's 352-239-8546. Hey, don't forget good old Amanda at Pacific West Bamboo. Pacific West Bamboo, 503-839-8126. You can reach her at demroots@oppermail.com. Pacific West Bamboo, your #1 source for timber, construction, and craft-grade bamboo poles, plants, products, and more. They specialize in eco-friendly reclaimed wood products for the home and garden. They're located in Portland, Oregon, servicing the Northwest for over 10 years. They can be reached at 503-839-8126. That's 503-839-8126. Her Facebook page is Pacific West Bamboo. They can and do ship nationwide, and they're currently getting a new line of bamboo flooring, veneers, and laminates made from Guadawa bamboo, one of the world's strongest bamboos, grown and produced and manufactured in Central America using only economically and environmentally friendly practices and standards. Good old Mike Gray at infinityhomeplans.com. Check out Infinity Home Plans and Design Services, your resource for 3D and 2D draftsman services. They offer a multitude of products, including stock home plans, 2D digital drawings, 3D models, renderings, and more. That's infinityhomeplans.com. Hey, don't forget emailrevealer.com. That's my website, emailrevealer.com. And we offer all different kinds of services. Current place of employment locate. Let's say you're trying to locate where your ex-husband or your ex-wife is working so you can collect on child support. You contact us, we can locate their place of employment for you and help you collect on that child support. Let's say you think that your husband or your wife is cheating on you. Give us their email address and we can trace it back to online dating websites and dating services. So we have a multitude of services on emailrevealer.com. Hey, don't forget the New World Mexican Women. Okay, now just Google New World Mexican Women. You can find their book where they first describe their love letters to their men and their sons and their uncles and their brothers who have traveled from South America to North America to work as migrant workers. But the women down in this town there in Guerrero, Mexico, they want their men to come back. So they've written these beautiful love letters, and they've put them all in this beautiful coffee table book. First, the letters are written in Spanish, handwritten. You can see pictures of the people writing the books. And then it comes on after that, and it's typewritten in English. And then also, too, the second half of the book is teaching you how to make authentic Mexican jewelry from these New World Mexican women. You can find their book on lulu.com. It's only $19, or you can download the digital edition for free. That's New World Mexican Women, and it's a two-part book where first part is the love letters, and the second part is the making the handmade jewelry, the authentic Mexican jewelry. But you can also contact them, too, as well, if you want to get a deal on wholesale jewelry from Mexico, from these women.
Hey, welcome back to the Opperman Report After Show, brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com, Opperman Report. You go there, you sign up. It's free. You get a free audiobook. You get a free membership there. And when you download a book, a free book, you help the show. So Don't forget, we appreciate your donations and your sponsorships. If you have a business or a website you want promoted, like Mike Gray from InfinityHomeplans.com, you can contact us at oppermanreport@gmail.com and, grow with us because we're adding stations every single week. We're here tonight with Lee Lamb she's written a couple of books called Oak Island Obsession, The Restall Story, and Oak Island Family, The Restall Hunt for Buried Treasure. And you can find the links to these books on Amazon on our website called the Opperman Report blog. Now, Lee, let me ask you a question. With the idea that these pirates buried treasure there, is there any other case where pirates have buried treasure with this elaborate kind of tunneling and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm the last person to ask because I'm no historian, so I don't know, but I don't believe, I certainly heard of nothing that comes close to it.
Yeah, me neither. I've never heard of anything like this.
Yeah, so I mean, it sort of tells you that it's not some little treasure a guy's got, it's got to be worth all this work.
It's not a bottle of rum.
Right.
Oh, yeah, there's something going on.
Exactly.
But the thing is that people kind of trace this back to pirates because there was all these pirate ships seen over there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, and apparently in that part of the country, treasure was found from time to time, but in very, very small amounts, like personal collection, cupful type stuff.
Right.
So, but that's totally different. This was organized and engineered, to the nth degree. Took a lot of work to do this.
So there's no doubt. Okay, we don't know what's down there.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that the architecture and the engineering that took place to get this to what it is. Now, are we 100% sure that that's real? Because I hear a lot of stories too. That the story about the block and tackle over the tree that was never recovered, and this stone here with the writing was never recovered. And,
yeah.
And that some people even say that these tunnels with the shoring with the wood planks and stuff like that was just typical mining expeditions that went on all the time.
Well, there's not many. Well, I don't know of anybody going to little islands and looking for a mine. That would be kind of expensive. But anyway, why would they build a flood tunnel for their mine?
Right.
And how did they dig those little shafts?
How did they dig? Everything was dug by hand.
Yeah, but I mean, how could they dig these little shafts that were? I mean, these shafts were like what, 1 foot by. Like a foot by a foot?
I don't know what you're talking about, to tell you the truth. The shafts, as I think I said, that boys was about the size of a bedroom. It was 13 feet in diameter, and that would be 13 feet in diameter all the way to the bottom. That was the money pit.
No, but
I'm not talking about
the drains.
The drainage, yeah, that goes to the ocean or the sea.
Yeah, but that isn't. I mean, there's right off the bat. I don't know why it was called a drain, because it doesn't take water from the money pit to the sea. It takes the sea into and down a slope into the money pit.
Well, the funnel or whatever you call it.
But how did they dig that?
It was mining. It was mining technology that was used elsewhere to mine coal and stuff like that in Europe. So it was technology that was known at that time. But actually, one of the books, Les McPhee's book, one of them, which I really don't agree with his theory, but he shows the best part of the book for me was he shows how they could do that, work underground. It was really fascinating, and there is a possibility that cave-in pit where the oxen fell in was an air shaft.
Wow. That
would feed the other as they did the work type thing.
Because obviously back in those days, Mike, they had slaves,
if they had somebody that they had captured, that person would work hard so they wouldn't be killed, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, there was you have to factor in slavery.
Yeah, right.
Because we had the whole railroads were built and stuff like that. Even here in America, we had this labor. That were and the mines that we had here and the coal mines and stuff back in those days. Which is it's nothing like what we have now. Yeah. So. Well,
I'm sure when they plundered a ship, they took anybody that was healthy and strong or anybody they could use, as well as the things,
So your theory is that it's pirates?
No, I don't have a theory.
You don't have any theory at all?
No, my theory is that it's the work that went into it had to be for something very important.
Right.
And I do expect that it will be found in an underground cavern. And there are natural underground caverns there. I mean, the shale leads itself to voids and stuff underground. But I think that it'll be a substantial treasure, and I hope it'll have documents and stuff like that. But I think they'll kind of find a room full of stuff, or they'll find nothing.
What kind of documents do you think could be down there?
Well, I mean, they expect there to be all kinds of stuff from the Knights Templar, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, as I said, I'm no historian. I wish I were. I wish somebody.
Okay, but Lee, you don't know. Okay, but you have ideas.
But there, little bit I read once about the Rosicrucians and the Knights Templar said something about that they were condemned and they weren't allowed to meet anymore and all this. So all their stuff went underground, and this thing I was reading had nothing to do with Oak Island.
Okay.
It was the history of the Rosicrucians. But anyway, they were being annihilated, and they had to take all their precious stuff and hide it. So there's always speculation on those documents emerging.
Okay.
Yeah, they split into three groups.
See, we have a historian.
No, yeah, Mike. Okay. Mike follows us.
One group went to Switzerland.
Yep.
One group went to Scotland.
Yeah.
And the other group was more seafaring and established probably Portugal or that Basque area, I think it's called. And and then they were basically they had 32 ships or something like that, and they probably did go to Oak Island and hide their treasure there, but I think they moved it. So maybe they put it at Oak Island and then just moved it who knows where,
Yeah, that's true. That's possible if they had another way of getting out of their chamber of riches without disturbing their original work. That would make sense.
Yeah, right.
Because when King Philip went to kill them, they knew it was coming and they moved their gold. He never did get their treasure. He never. Their vaults were empty. So.
Okay, but Mike, why would they refill this whole thing like that? What if they we got to get our stuff out of there. Let's dig it back up.
I think it's.
Well, they wouldn't have gone out the way they came in.
I think it's possible that they knew that thing was there, and they just used it. Okay.
The cavern was already there?
That the cavern, they knew about it. Yeah, the location, that somebody else built it from a long time ago, and they had the old maps, which told them where things were.
Yeah.
And they just utilized it.
Well, maybe.
Temporary. And then
maybe
they hid whatever they had and then moved it.
So why do you think they moved it?
Well,
what makes you think?
Well, I think they established this country in Canada. That's what I think.
Well, so how does that have anything to... Why would you move your treasure? I mean, here you are, you found a nice island, nobody's bothering it. So a lot of work went into making this impenetrable place, and you got a treasure there, and you're going to move it.
Right, and then fill it back up again and hide the entrance to it. You know what I mean?
Well, it'd have to be a different entrance. I don't think they'd be going. They never intended to go down those every 10-foot planks and all that stuff again, because they weren't going to. They didn't want to contend with the water pouring in on them. But anyway, you asked earlier about people. I've had people contact me with very different theories, and that include Oak Island isn't the only place in Canada where it comes into the story. So, I mean, the story gets so big that you say, oh, never mind. It's too much.
It's never too much. It's never. Listen, I'm an investigator, and I like to follow trails, and try and figure out what's going on, And you're a witness, a first-hand witness. We interview you, and we'll interview more people and see what we can come out with this. And maybe I'll come tunneling up from the bottom and get that treasure myself.
Right.
And squirrel it away.
Well, it certainly appeals to people's sense of adventure. Even when my dad was alive and he was talking, I mean, you just see men's eyes twinkle.
Right.
And even after the accident, I mean, people just immediately, they want to hear about this story. They want this story to be true, and they want a good resolution for it, So there isn't much left that we can dream about it. I mean, what is it going to be, a lottery ticket? I mean, that's so boring compared to digging for treasure.
Yeah, there's nothing like digging for treasure. Digging for it, digging.
Yeah, hypothetically.
Yeah. Now, what are the kind of emails and calls you get, like theories and stuff?
Well, I get emails asking me for, did you, like, my dad spent an awful lot of time, there were markers on the island, like that stone triangle.
Okay.
And the granite stones that were hand drilled, that were marker stones, and they had been noticed by other treasure hunters right from the beginning of time, and they make a configuration that ends up being so many feet from the money pit and all that stuff. Okay, there's a lot of that. Well, people will contact me to see if my dad mapped a specific segment of the island or something, and do I have anything I could let them have? I mean, so they can go on with their study, because there's people all over the world that have their own theories about it, and they're investigating it, and just like this person in the summer who had found some code among the words in Sir Francis Bacon's writings, that if you looked at every sixth letter or something or other, then it told you to go across the ocean for so far, and then you would find this or that. So, I mean, every person that does this is convinced that they're really onto something.
Right. Well, did your dad map those out specifically, those stones and stuff?
I beg your pardon? What was the first sentence?
Well, you were saying that people were emailing you about your dad. Did he map out those stones and those markers specifically?
Yeah.
So he did.
Well, he did several maps that showed exactly where everything was that he could see. I mean, that is to say, it wasn't a map of what was supposed to be there. It was a map of what was there. And so he did several maps, and one of the best map was a working map that was bigger than my dining room table, that they actually worked and measured from the northmost stone on the sextant or stone triangle up to the money pit, and then through the cave-in pit. And that shaft that they died in, was on an alignment between one of those marker stones that were granite with a hand-drilled stone.
Yeah.
And if you took a line from that and up the hill and into the cave-in pit where the oxen fell in and kept going to the money pit, I mean, that's the line that he chose to dig that hole. was on that alignment. So he was using measurements all the time to try to figure out what was the most logical place for something to be.
So those maps that you have you shared those maps with anybody else?
I've been pretty generous with some people that could use them.
Okay.
Other than that, they haven't gone to anybody that wouldn't have made good use of them.
Gotcha. Do you have anything in your possession that you have not shared with anybody?
Not.
That could be significant.
No, I think not. I mean, I think, well, there's a couple of things that I just decided people wouldn't value, so, but, you know, that's the only reason they haven't been shared.
If you had the map, would you tell me?
Oh, I haven't got any maps.
Okay, you deny it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I gave you the map, will you put up the $5 or $6 million so we can do the next date?
I got about $20. I can buy a shovel, and you
right.
I work my fingers to the bone to find it for you. Boy.
No. Oh, just it would be nice. Chapel wrote to my father once that he was very enthusiastic about what was happening at the time, and he said that he would like to see it. He had to see it before he was gone. He was getting older, but he wanted to vindicate his father. And now I'm in the same position. I would like to live long enough to see my father vindicated.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah. And I think you will. You know, and we'll get all this going here. So we're down to like the last 5 minutes of the show. What do you want to leave us with, Lamb? What do you, Lee?
Oh, well, just keep doing your job and keep an interest going in Oak Island.
Yeah.
I mean, how many dreams have we got left? There's not much. I mean, many of your shows are about the social injustice and the kind of things, and the world I lived in that was good enough. I mean, I was happy with it. I was able to go to university for I only had to pay back a fifth of the cost. The rest was grants. That doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
There were jobs for me, even though I knew nothing and I was worthless. As a 17 or 18-year-old, I could get a job because there were more jobs than people. And there was no such thing as violence. I mean, okay, we couldn't go to another country to have a vacation, but we never even thought about it. We certainly didn't think we were missing anything. So, anyway, it's nice to have something we can dream about and think about. And in fact, it might someday link us back to our own history.
But Lee, how do you feel about the situation we're in today? You talk about, you know, I do shows about social justice and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And how do you think we're doing with that? You know, you've been around a long time. You know, I'm 53 years old myself, or maybe 52. I forget what my age is. you know, we just start forgetting what your age is. You know, but I was born in '62. I forget what year it is now. But I'm my 50s.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and how do you feel about where the world is going as far as liberty and freedom and social justice?
I feel very very sad at how much we've lost, and the things that we've lost the most are the things like integrity and caring for other people. I mean, it's become a very selfish world. But every now and then I see a ray of hope. I think you're going to have a guest on about the what do they call it? The sit-ins.
Occupy Wall Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so good for me because I saw for the first time that there were people out there like me that thought it wasn't fair. It's not that I need more. I happen to have just enough to live safely and eat nutritious food, not an elaborate lifestyle, but I'm not suffering. Personally, I am not suffering. But I just don't. I don't see much ahead for other people with the disappearance of full-time jobs and all. Anyway, I did feel with that movement, oh, thank God, there are other people, and there are people that are going to work about it and work on it and care. But anyway, I can't remember what else I was going to say.
But I think we all know what you're trying to say, that. But both of us, we've been around a long time, and
I'm 80. I turned 80 this year.
Well, God bless you, and you're right. The things are have gone in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
but I do see signs that at least here there are groups that are getting together and starting to fight back.
Right. There's always hope.
We waited a little too long. Now it's a bigger job, but I think that there is hope.
There is hope.
And I know people with the Wall Street, whatever, they occupy Wall Street. People have criticized the movement because they didn't do anything. They did do something. They showed us that there are a bunch of people who think this isn't good enough. And that's very heartwarming. Because you sure see, it doesn't matter where you go, people are talking about money and what they have and what they need and all this. And so we've become a very materialistic society. And it's nice to see hope that we might just grow beyond that and make some kind of new reality.
So true. 80 years old, what do you think? There's more to life than money?
Well, there always has been.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most important thing that people like us should be looking out to accomplish in our lives?
Well, now there's so much, like you have to think about the environment whether you care about it or not. I'll be long gone before some of the awful things that are coming up. I'm not going to be here to have to suffer through. It's nothing's changed. The things that really matter are being loved and loving someone else because, in the whole, not in picking a mate type love, but in loving another human being.
Right.
Many human beings, because love begets love. But, we just don't have much of that anymore. People are more really desperate because of their, they've practically signed their lives away to get a house,
right.
And so where's their adventure? Is it just buying some little trinket is going to be enough?
Well, we got a message here from the chat room. It says, God bless Mrs. Lamb. A real honest soul. Love the show. And so, yeah, I knew I'd love you. I know I'd fall in love with you there, Lee. Okay, I'm serious. I knew before I started talking to you, I could just tell that you'd be a blessing to this show. And I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Oh, well, it's been my pleasure.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure, too. And we'll be having some more shows about this topic because Oak Island is fascinating, and it's, a buried treasure and all this kind of stuff. You can't get better than that, right? And when you have a woman who grew up in a circus family, my daughter, I told her, I says, yeah, her family, they worked for the circus, and they did this motorcycle thing. And my daughter got in her head that your parents were clowns.
Oh, really?
she kept saying, yeah, Dad, the circus clowns. And I says, no, Vic, they weren't clowns. But they were just really impressive people,
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lee, we love you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we'll do some more shows on this topic, I'm sure of that. And I hopefully we'll have you back again, man, with your next adventure,
Right.
Yeah, we will, my friend, okay? Thank you so much. God bless you. Okay, we're here tonight with Lee Lamb, the author of all these great books, man. Oak Island Obsession, The Restall Story, Oak Island Family, The Restall Hunt for Buried Treasure. We had a great contribution from Mike Ray. There's a lot of great information on all kind of different topics here. He's our sponsor from infinityhomeplans.com. Thank you, Mike Gray, for calling in. And we'll be back next week after your good old your host here get some rest. Did 2 shows in a row. Did a show yesterday, 4 hours. Did a show tonight, 3 hours. And I was working on a lot of stuff to get our show simulcast on all these different stations here. We're working on like another 6 stations we're adding. We're adding another station after that, so it's a lot of work. And thank you all for support and helping us out. By the way, if you work, if you're in the business of repairing cars or something like that, I need some help. I got a problem with the DMV, and I need you to help me out with some paperwork. So get a hold of me at the oppermanreport@gmail.com. All right, guys. Good night. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. We got the good old Ray Lewis. Captain Ray Lewis from Occupy Wall Street, and he's down there in Ferguson on the front line for us, and he's trying to do the best he can to in his retiring years as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And he's out there, and they're threatening his life, and they were trying to threaten a way to take his pension away and to take his insurance away and stuff like that. And don't forget good old Reverend Pinckney as well over there in Michigan. Facing 7 years, 67 years old, facing 7 years in prison for trying to fight back against a company town over there in Michigan where he's fighting against and been fighting for his whole life. So keep in your mind and your prayers as well. And we'll be back next week. And thank you all very much.
Good night, all.
Good night.
You are listening to WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York.